you are where you are in life because that's the level of what you know. And it was such just that sentence woke me up to the fact that I'd still be like this in 10 years from now, because what I knew wasn't enough to change what was happening around me. And I had to now really address the fact that I was lacking in information about money. And I had to, it was time to upgrade, and it was time to say, I don't care if it feels overwhelming. I don't care if I don't even know where to start. I don't care that any of those excuses that I had given myself all this time. And I just set out like a raging lunatic, I guess, to say, if someone said they had anything to do with the financial world, I made an appointment and went to their office and said, tell me how you got started. What have you learned? What do I need to know? And that's when the seas started parting and I finally had a path forward.
Join me, 'cause I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, oh, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine, I'm seeking sunshine.
Welcome to Seeking Sunshine, Do What Lights You Up, a podcast for passionate, creative moms who are ready to live their best life and be their full, lit-up selves while being amazing moms, because it's possible to be both. It turns out that you don't have to lose yourself in motherhood, and I'm here to show you how. This is Seeking Sunshine 2.0 because we are no longer focusing on the problems, but on the solutions. It's your turn to shine. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I'm so happy you're here and I love talking to you, and today's episode's gonna be just so good. It's gonna be like, this is one you're gonna want to share with everybody because we're talking about money and how women need to learn about money. It's such an important conversation. But I'm feeling like February is flying by. I don't know if you're feeling like that too. And I've been working really hard on getting my course together, which has gone through so many iterations. I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of this month, I was like, okay, I'm doing this live 12-week course on podcasting. And then I felt like, oh my gosh, this is not aligned. This does not feel right. And then I was changing it to being this pre-recorded course, which felt really amazing. And then I recorded it, and then we got this news from Spotify for Podcasters that changed so many things right after I recorded it. And it took me a hot minute to really figure out, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about this? And then it was okay. It took me a little while to like calm down from the crazy news. And now I'm working on building this course again, changing some things, making it more relevant now with that new news. But it's coming. It's still coming. It's still happening. I am going to have it in the next couple weeks available for everyone. And it's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be even better than ever. But what I wanted to say here was that I'm so grateful that I have my magic mind to help keep me focused and on track, because, oh my gosh, I tend to just get really distracted by all of the crazy things going on in my life, and having that little shot in my morning, that little supplement to just zone me in to, oh yeah, this is what I'm working on. It just brings my energy right into focus, and it's so good, you guys. I really recommend it. Definitely go check out the link in the show notes because there's a special discount code if you want to grab it. It's really helpful. It really, really is. So anyways, that course is coming out so soon and it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be even better than ever. Especially after this big setback that for a good minute there, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And in the end, it's going to be for the best, I think. So anyways, today's interview is with the incredible Carolyn Blosil. She's this financial advisor and she is so wise and so amazing. And I really think you're just going to love this interview because I did. And I'm in Toastmasters with Carolyn, so I feel like I've heard this story like 3 times now because I heard her say it in Toastmasters, and then I heard the interview, and then I re-listened to the interview, and I cannot get enough of her because she's so great. Like, I am so not even sick of her story at all. Like, I want to go back and listen to it another time because it's that inspiring, and it's so good. You're going to finish this episode and you're going to be like, I need to talk to this woman. I need to go book a call with her and change my whole life because that's how powerful it is. So in this episode, we're going to talk about expanding what we're capable of, allowing ourselves to feel safe, and then learning how to feel financially confident. Carolyn Blosil is a financial educator and a retirement advisor and an entrepreneur. She's a mom of 8 and also a grandma to 6, and she's always learning so that she can be a better mentor for her family and share with others how to play the game of money and win. In other words, everything that she wishes she would have known decades earlier. She's so cool, and I'm honored that I get to air this interview because it's really amazing. So welcome, Carolyn. Well, hi, Carolyn. I'm so excited to have you today on the Seeking Sunshine podcast.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I know that you have such an incredible story and that you have so much wisdom to share today with my audience, and I'm really excited to hear from you.
Great. I'm excited to be here and just share where I am and where I was and why I'm doing what I'm doing currently.
Awesome. Well, let's start at the beginning because, we're going to get to the part where we talk about doing what lights you up and why you are doing all the incredible things you're doing right now. But I know that there's a reason that you got to this point. So let's start from the beginning and talk about your juicy story. And because you've come from this place that I know that my audience can relate to so, so well.
Yes, it was about 10 years ago, which it's hard to believe it was that long ago, but it was one of those, we were going to a friend's house. We knew it was going to be a sales presentation. I'm sure we've all been to one of those. And I was telling my husband, there is no way, we are not buying anything. We have no money, don't make any commitments. And I was so committed to that being the case that I was sure that we would sit in the very back of the room. In fact, we were in the kitchen of his house, even though it was a big custom home. But I just did not want to be there. I didn't want to have that moment again where I had to say, we don't have any money, whatever it is. It sounds so great and fabulous. We're not doing it. And also, I was working 3 part-time jobs because in my mind and what I've been brought up to believe is if we weren't able to make ends meet, I just had to work harder. So for me, that looked like I had 3 part-time jobs. I was working as a seamstress in 2 bridal shops, and I was also working at ancestry.com. And then on top of that, my husband still had his full-time job in addition, and we have 8 kids. We also have had many exchange students along the way. So not only was I just struggling to figure out how this could ever change, I was so committed to thinking that the way out was just working harder and then not spending money. And at this time, what not spending money looked like was when any appliance in our house went out, I would just work around that. We wouldn't get it fixed. I wouldn't even see about what a new one would cost. We just, like, the dryer went out, the heating element in the oven went out, the dishwasher wasn't really working properly. One day I opened the refrigerator door and the bolt fell off on the bottom and the whole door just fell off. And those side doors of the refrigerator that has all those bottles of stuff you don't use all the time. It was just I really didn't know what to do.
I feel
Uh,
like this is like a tale as old as time because I'm sitting here in the middle of this, like, oh, that thing broke. Like, I was just talking to my husband of like, I'm so grateful for the microwave we got at the thrift store for $10. It's lasted us for all these years. Like, yay, because because microwaves are like over $100 now. And it was like, oh,
yeah.
yay.
Well, and you just think, okay, if I can work around this. I took all that wet laundry to the laundromat. It was only a half a block from my house. The lady that owned the place was really, I mean, I could talk myself into all the pros of why this strategy was gonna work. It just was gonna work. So I'm sitting in the back of the room, my arms folded, and just thinking, like, why are we even here? I don't want to be here. I'm not going to do anything about whatever's happening. I don't even I just was so overwhelmed. And then the gentleman that was presenting said something that made me sit up in my chair and take notice. And he said, "You are where you are in life because that's the level of what you know." And it was such just that sentence woke me up to the fact that I'd still be like this in 10 years from now because what I knew wasn't enough to change what was happening around me. And
Mm.
I had to now really address the fact that I was lacking in information about money. I, and I had it was time to upgrade and it was time to say, I don't care if it feels overwhelming. I don't care if I don't even know where to start. I don't care that any of those excuses that I'd given myself all this time. And I just set out like a raging lunatic, I guess, to say, if someone said they had anything to do with the financial world, I made an appointment and went to their office and said, tell me how you got started. What have you learned? What do I need to know? And that's when the seas started parting and I finally had a
Mm.
path forward.
That is so, so powerful. We can only raise to the level that we believe we're capable of. And for so many of us, for so long, like we only know what we were raised in. We
Yes.
only can see what our parents could see because that was the future that was laid out for us. And
Yeah.
that's why it's so incredibly important to surround yourself with people who have a greater vision
Yeah,
than.
because and they say, and this gentleman also said, we oftentimes only see one solution.
Yeah.
As soon as we can see that there could be a second solution and it's a possible solution, not only do we start considering that second solution, but now this whole world starts opening and we are expanded to option C and D and E that we never even knew existed before.
I love this idea of combining creativity with your finances. And I
Yes.
think, like, for my family, like, that's how we got by for so long because we came from this, story of disability and poverty, which so often go hand in hand.
Mhm.
And it was, how can we find a creative solution to birthdays when you have no money? How do you find a creative solution to Christmas when you have no money and you want to give gifts to your kids and you don't know what to do and something broke and how do we fix it and we need ways to keep our kids safe when they're severely autistic and trying to hurt themselves, and it's like we make something happen. And
Yeah.
when you can find that creative solution to your financial struggle, it opens up all of these incredible possibilities.
Yes, and also along with that, I liken it to college classes. You have the 100 level, you have the 200 level, you have the 300 level, and then even to the graduate level. And we have to be willing to consider that there's more to learn than what we currently know, and that the first person you talk to may not have all of the answers, but they give you part of what you need to know to go to the next so that you keep increasing your level of understanding. And with that, believing that you can learn and that uh, it, it will become possible for you to understand it.
Yes. It's one of the most mind-blowing concepts that we can start to embrace, that there's more available to us than we currently can comprehend,
Yes.
that there's more out there, and that it's actually such an empowering idea that we do not yet know it all. And it's
Right.
right? We become teenagers and we're like, "Oh, no, I got it. I got it
Yeah.
all. I understand everything." And then as we mature more, we're like, "Whoa, actually, I don't. Actually, there's so much more out there." And then we become knowledge hungry, like you're talking about right
Yeah.
there, where you're
Mhm.
like, "There's so much more. How much more can I fill myself with?" And it's like the more you realize that you don't know, the more powerful you are.
Yes, and with that as well is the ability to make different types of decisions because you're coming with more information in making those decisions. And I found I was kind of waiting for my husband to come along on this journey with me and say, I'm tired of this too. Let's work on this together. And he wasn't there yet
Yeah.
because in his mind, it was comfortable enough. It didn't really affect him that I was going to the laundromat. It didn't affect him that we were having stovetop meals. We were still having meals. He still had clean clothes. He still got to work, and there were no complications in his life because he wasn't in the day to day just inconveniences.
Yeah.
But as like I said, the Red Sea parted, and I started just walking forward in faith. I didn't know where it was going to take me, but it allowed me then to have better conversations with my husband and really approach this whole financial part of our lives better. And then consequently, he's come along and even exceeded me in some areas as well. So this idea of you've got to wait or it's too difficult or I don't know where to start or it's kind of a man's world. That's the other part of the
Yeah.
equation that we sort
Or
of
there's
equate.
or there's someone weighing me down, and that, yeah, it's one thing that's so amazing and so powerful is that when us as wives and mothers, when we start to rise, our children and our husbands, eventually they start to come with us. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
impact everyone around us in ways that we cannot fathom, but you have to go first, and it's
Well,
so important that we go first.
yes. And I don't know why it took me so long to recognize this as well as that as women, we are the ones spending the majority of time with our children. And if we don't understand how money works, we're we're at we have not passed anything on to our kids except the situation I was in where I just lived like how my parents were living. And I don't know why either I was gone that day, the memo came through of the importance I have of teaching my children financial principles and concepts and getting them started in paying themselves first before anything they earn from that first Kool-Aid stand. But this is really another part of the equation that took me a long time to get that aha of Carolyn, it's your job. It's your responsibility as a parent. It's not just taking care of the home and the meals and making sure your children are safe. It's also life skills that I get to be the one teaching them.
Oh, it's so true, and it's so powerful, and it's also our example of what this role looks like of
Mhm.
motherhood for our daughters who are going to become mothers. Like, what can they expect this role of motherhood to look like? Is it all just cooking and cleaning and service and giving everything away all the time?
Yeah,
Or
which
is
we're
it
so good at. We are
Mhm.
so willing to give absolutely every minute, every ounce of energy, everything. Our
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah, or is it fulfilling and beautiful and the best way to be all of yourself, and a great, loving human?
Yeah.
Because you can be both. It's the greatest way to step into your true power as a woman,
Yes,
you
and
know?
these habits around money or these beliefs around money begin from the very beginning. And I'm realizing even the words we use in our family of, oh, we don't have money, you've got to go get a job. If you want it, you have to pay for it. Just that all that affects their upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, my daughter was describing of how we were like destitute growing up, and that wasn't true. It was just that there obviously were more needs or wants than we could financially provide. But I added to the weight of our situation by the words I used, the way I talked about this barrage of my kids saying, I want to do this sport, I want to do that activity, I want to go here, I want to have these clothes, I want those latest trend in shoes, I want to do all of these things. And I could have used far different wording besides,
I
no, we can't, we don't have money. Don't even
yes.
think about it. Why are you coming at me all the time asking for stuff?
And I see this in myself so much because like my daughter really struggles with anxiety, and I see her anxiety come out around money, and I'm like, I emulated, like I caused that. Like she has that anxiety because I showed her how to have that. Like it was like, don't ruin the library book or we're gonna have to pay for it. And it's gonna be like 10 whole dollars. And like, oh no. And now I'm like, like I'm the one who showed her how to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
level of anxiety over $10. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like there have been times when like that was kind of a thing and it was like, okay, we can't afford to like because $10 when it's times like $50 that they wanted to check out was like a lot of things. Like it was
Yeah.
like, but it's like, you know, I'm as we grow and as we learn and as we become better, we look back and we go, how can I show them now how much better I've become with this, and how can we transform the language that
Mhm.
we are talking about money with? How can we make
Yeah,
it
and
more
just have an
positive?
abundance in a
Yeah,
more abundant way.
and more
And
loving.
yeah, yep. And feeling like we're not victims of circumstance, but that we're proactive. And there's
Yeah,
just so many other, like, again, so many other choices of how we could handle those situations to instill a just even talking about, we want to take care of this.
yeah,
Okay, it only costs $10 to replace it, but the real concept is be respectful of our things, whether they're from the
yeah.
library, whether there are things,
Mm-hmm.
because we're working hard to provide those for you, and we want to make sure that things stay for other people to enjoy. I mean,
Yeah.
those kind of conversations versus everything else we
Oh
we
yeah, I know. Motherhood's like this whole wormhole that it's so easy to go down. But I want to mention one more thing before we move on and hear like more of your story. And that's just that it's so easy to tear ourselves apart for our past behavior and be like, I wish that I hadn't done that. And I wish that past me had behaved in the way that, current me
current me.
now knows isn't so good. And it's like we can't hate ourselves into somebody that we love. We cannot, look at that person who was doing the best that they could have done in that
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
And we just need to love all iterations of ourselves, because the more that we do that, the more we teach our kids to love every iteration of their selves.
Well, and ourselves too, because now my youngest child is 22 and my oldest is 38. He's got his 5 kids, is successful as a nuclear engineer, and and the other thing that they love to see is that we're willing to talk about our past selves versus our future selves, and they do are so grateful that we aren't the version of our past selves still.
Yeah, that growth is it's so important, and it's important for our kids to see that we are humans and that we can make mistakes and that we are also people that learn and grow and change,
Mhm.
so that they can have permission to make mistakes and learn and grow and change.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So more about your story, because I
Yeah,
keep
okay, so
interrupting your story.
yeah, no, it's fine. Because it's really it was just so pivotal in that moment that
Yeah.
I finally woke up, and so I started on this journey of what do I need to know? What did I miss? What do I wish I would have known earlier? and realizing how important it is that I teach my kids, because the reality was, in the back of my mind, I was just hoping they'd bump into someone that knew more than they had learned in their family and could point them in a direction that would get them a different result than what they saw their parents have at the age we were then. And as I started learning, I realized I wasn't alone in this experience of wishing that I'd had more information earlier, because the reality is, unless you had a dad who is a financial planner and really, put you in front of all these great tools, the majority of Americans are struggling to know what to do. And so many of them are even well, all ages, really. I have clients from college students to, I start children on a retirement plan from 2 weeks old. But because the parents are realizing they're having to double their efforts at the ages they are, and they're thinking, wow, if I could just get my kids to see what's possible so much earlier than I even thought about it, they're going to be in such a better situation. And so I love today having that opportunity to have those conversations with people, and especially the young entrepreneurs that are so focused on building their businesses. And like with my kids, I thought they're busy figuring out marriage, school, dating, just making sure their car's still working. That
Yeah.
the last thing on their minds is, what am I going to do for 30 years from now? It's so far from where they're currently thinking, and yet it really is one of the most important things to be thinking about, honestly.
Yeah. When you're
Otherwise,
in
you're losing
survival
time.
mode,
Mhm.
it's hard to think about anything else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
especially as a startup business owner, all you're thinking about is putting all your money back into your business, and you're not thinking about saving 10% of it for just your future self.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know about you. I definitely was raised of like, you get married, the goal of life is to get married and have kids and just do that as soon as kind of possible. And I got married at 18 and a half and I started having kids right away. And it was like, bang, boom, like get married, have kids. That was what the game plan of life
Yeah,
was. And,
yeah,
and we didn't really think about much beyond that. And then, my husband became disabled and my kids all have their things going on. And it was like, I
yeah,
was so young that it was like, I was so, the only thing I could think about was like how, like I'm caring for all these people and like money was non-existent. It was just, but I can see that in a lot of other people where it's like, we're just trying to survive.
yeah.
How do you think about saving for retirement when you are struggling to get by month to month? It's official. Podcast Like a Mother is here. This is my podcast coaching program where I lead you one to one through the entire process of building your own podcast. I will guide you every single step of the way as you figure out what topic you want to talk about, what lights you up, and how to do the entire process beginning to end. I'm going to show you every single thing that I know, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to show you how to make podcasting fun and easy and sustainable. If you want to schedule a breakthrough call with me to see if this is the right next step for you, check out the link in the show notes.
I think another large component of that is learning how to value yourself and your abilities. Because the other part of the
Oh,
equation, as I started learning, was we are so okay with mediocre, and we're okay with it because we're around other people who are living that mediocre struggle bus, some people call it. And I started looking at it more as, what do I have to offer others that's of great value? And then choosing into how I was going to spend my time versus, we need gas money. Oh my gosh, we got to buy milk. We have to buy eggs. Okay, yes, I'll take the paper route job. It's 3 a.m., but then I can be home with my kids all day. And it wasn't, am I really worth that $200 I got at the end of the week for what it caused in my no sleep and it's just wear and tear on every aspect of my life.
That was the greatest answer ever. I just love that answer so much because I have heard this story from you before and I'm hoping you'll tell it because it's so powerful. And for me, it was donating plasma because when I was a very young college student and, on and off for a decade, it was, okay, we have no money. How do we get money today?
Right now,
It
this
was
minute.
go donate plasma. And every time I would donate plasma, like increasingly, I'd get sicker and sicker, like more and more. And so like the last time that I donated plasma, I like got so like sick, like back to back, like weeks of illness,
Mm.
like from one time where it's like the initially it was like not a big deal and I was like, yay, I can do homework and I can watch movies and this is great. But every time my immune system would just get worse and worse and worse. And you had this story about, the paper route, and it's like the things that we sacrifice, our
Yeah.
health, our sleep for something like this tiny bit of money. And it's like you have so much value. You have so much value. And I've had so many times where it's like a real decision of like, do I sacrifice this for this? Really, it's a relatively small amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, is it actually worth it? And like the actual truth is no, it's not.
No. And not only is it not worth it, you're not worth that kind of pain that it's causing, whether it's a physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's to your family. I mean, I remember in particular my son, he was our fifth, would help in the mornings too at age, whatever age you are in second grade, 8. And I hadn't made his lunch that morning because in the process of finishing up that and getting the kids off to school. So I was taking his lunch to school and he was out cold at his desk. He'd been up since 5 o'clock in the morning at 8 years old to help with this paper out. And it really was, and my kids will tell you it was the worst thing ever in their lives. I mean, it taught them hard work and getting up, but at the same time, it wasn't just me that was sacrificing, it was everyone that was hurting with that solution that I felt was the only solution to our current situation.
So how long did you guys do that family paper route? Or was it just you?
It started out with one of our boys that was in, and there were 40 papers. So it was just easy on the bicycle after school. But then he had baseball practice or he had another sport thing. And then I'm delivering those papers. And I remember being like 9 months pregnant on the bicycle delivering these 40 papers. And then it became a morning route and the papers were delivered to our house, and then it became going to the depot. And then I thought, well, and I was always following this other car doing another route for another newspaper. And then I thought, well, I might as well just do all the newspapers as long as I'm up, which meant going to it was 7 years that we did that newspaper route. So that's what I'm talking about, the insanity of it all. And think about this, I couldn't go on vacation because there were so many. I think it was 5 different newspapers I was delivering, and each one had a different delivery schedule, different houses, different neighborhoods, and trying to tell someone else. I mean, I had all color coded, and there were times we did take some family vacations, and I got our neighbor and their son to do it for like a week or 3 days or whatever. But it was insanity. And then the other thing, I finally told my husband, I said, you have to come with me because if I do get sick, no one's going to have any idea what it is that
What the system is and how it works and which are
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
nuances like
And
I
it's
feel like
it's any weather. I mean, I slammed my head into somebody's fifth wheel because now we're in the dark. I remember having to put one of my boys on my shoulder when the newspaper would fling up to the roof and we'd have to come home and get the broom and or I put him in the window well to get the newspaper, but this one time I was coming around, it was pitch dark and I was ducking under these bushes and I just slammed my head into that cart that hangs down from a fifth wheel and just slice my head open. But we had all these newspapers to deliver. So I just like put a paper towel on my head and, finished the last hour and eventually went to the hospital and got staples in my head. But it was, I have scars on my leg, everything. It was pure insanity. But at the time, like I said, sometimes we only see door number one of possibility of how to solve our current demands that are so overwhelming.
It's so funny because I don't think I've ever heard anybody else talk about the things that they've done for money the
Yeah.
way that you've talked about that story. And I've had experiences like that where it's like, okay, we need, I'm a gift giver. And so like trying to get my kids gifts for their birthdays was like, okay, I'm looking on Craigslist and I found this big play structure. And it's been sitting outside for months at someone's house. And I'm there scrubbing the spider webs and the crusted dirt off of it, trying to get it to fit in the back of my van. And like, just like, I have stories of
Yeah.
crazy things that we have done that I have done because of money,
Of
because I've,
scrimping and saving as much
yeah,
as absolutely humanly possible. Yeah.
where if it feels crazy, but it feels like it's the only choice.
Yeah.
And it's not until you really start like realizing that that was such a limited mindset
Yeah.
and that you're worth more than that
Mhm.
physically and mentally and spiritually and like,
And your whole family is, it's not just,
yeah,
I mean, first you have to start with you because oftentimes you feed the whole family and then you just only have the morsels that are left or you
yeah.
wear the clothes. I mean, I remember looking at a picture and thinking, I've been wearing these same clothes for like 20 years.
Like,
It's,
what are new clothes? Like,
yeah, I
people
mean,
buy
sometimes it's
new
nice to
clothes.
wear the old things. There's kind of a feeling of comfort in that. But I thought, no. In fact, the one time I really did splurge, I was at Eddie Bauer sale, and you could fit as many things as you wanted into a bag and weigh it. And I think
Mm,
I spent $100 or something. I had such a migraine about how I was going to tell my husband I'd spent all this money. And I come home and he was like, great. I'm so glad you're finally spending money on yourself. And
uh,
yeah. And I thought, oh, really? I can do that?
that's like a thing. I remember this one time I got a pedicure, which was like a once in a year or more kind of splurge. And then minutes after getting out of Walmart, because it wasn't like a fancy pedicure, it was like a
Yeah.
$20 pedicure at Walmart. My like 3-year-old son stepped on my toe and messed the whole thing up. And I just sobbed. I just was like outside of Walmart sobbing because he'd screwed up my $20 splurge pedicure. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is what this kind of thing means to me.
Yeah. I mean, we all, when we're in that mindset, and so it takes some time.
Yeah.
I'm still uncovering ways that I respond to things, which I think, okay, Carolyn, you're not, there's better. You just don't have to think of it in that context.
Yeah.
So yeah, so now
It's
I after all of that and everything that we went through, I'm unraveling from with my kids where they are scrimping and saving as well. And especially as my kids are getting ready to marry, I'm saying you've got to upgrade your lifestyle because when you bring someone else into your life, your new in-laws are not going to be happy that you're only spending $50 for meals in a week. Like, yes, it's commendable that you can eat one meal a day and you've figured out how many calories can fit in just 3 ingredients. So you're maximizing what foods you buy, But I said, you have, and also just living in a place that is a place you would bring someone else into. There's a lot of that kind of thinking that goes too. So I've started with my kids and then realized, oh my goodness, there's so many people wanting to know more, but they first of all feel inadequate about how much they don't know to even go talk to someone that deals with money. It would just be so embarrassing, to
And
reveal.
overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's a language you don't know anything about. And I said, look, all of it is just information. It's no reflection of you as a person if you haven't started saving yet, because life is always happening to all of us, and we've been doing the absolute best we knew how. So let's see where you are, and let's figure out going where from this starting point, what's next. And there's always a what's next for everyone.
I love this. It always starts with awareness and this gift that you can give to yourself of all of your emotions just get to be, and they are not good or bad. They just
No, they're
get to
totally neutral.
exist.
Yep.
They're neutral, that like we are human beings who were given this whole spectrum of emotions. And so when something is a little bit triggering about money and it feels a little painful, you can just be like, oh, huh, I'm observing that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that that particular thing, like I will be totally authentic and honest with you. This morning, my husband threw away some bottles of ranch, and I was like, "You threw away full bottle, like you wasted like those bottles are expensive." Like it became a whole thing this morning, and I had to be like, but now it's okay. Looking at it from Carolee now perspective is not the same as Carolee a couple hours ago perspective,
Yeah.
where I'm like, oh, okay, I was triggered by the financial part of like those bottles of ranch were expensive. He was trying to clean out the fridge and he was like, we've got too many bottles of ranch in this fridge.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is that every time I buy new condiments, instead of leaving them in the cupboard where they belong, Joshua was like, these go in the fridge. I'm going to open every single one of them and stick them in the fridge. Our son. So
Yeah.
that's the how that happens. But and my husband was like, I'm helping by cleaning out the fridge. And I was like, you threw away something so valuable.
Yeah.
But
But then part of me is like, it's not like I can't ever buy another bottle of ranch
right.
again, right?
Right. And he left one in the fridge. Right. And it was like, and now I'm sitting here going, oh, I need to address this thing where I was triggered because of the financial aspect
Yep.
of that. And it's like, just observe. Like, start by like the awareness of like, okay, this is something that upset me. Start by just being aware, like, this was upsetting. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay that it upset you. You can just start by being aware of it. And then you can be like, that was a thing. How can I start to process that and start to put it in perspective?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and it isn't something that, okay, now that you saw that, it's never going to happen again, that you'll respond that way, but it's changing over to the abundant mindset of, yes, if it was me, I would have tried to consolidate all those into one bottle. I'd take whatever means necessary, and then at the same time, is that really how I want to spend my time? Is really scrimping and saving? I mean, it manifests itself in so many different ways in each person's
Yeah.
life, right? And for
And
you, that you were like, oh, I'm noticing, I'm not feeling abundant. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, those 3 tablespoons of ranch dressing in that one bottle, we could have put it in the other bottle. And then by doing that, we would have had a full bottle. And
right. But it's like your experience just gets to be what it is. And then hopefully the next time that something triggering happens, then I can be like noticing it sooner,
yeah,
having less of a reaction. And that's how it works. It's like the first time that you notice it, you probably won't realize it till later because somebody like me told you about my reaction. And then
yeah,
after you have a reaction, you'll be like, oh, I had a reaction. And then the next time you have a reaction, it'll be sooner. And then the next time, maybe your reaction will be less. As
yeah,
you're in your reaction going, oh, I'm currently having a reaction. Maybe I don't need to be having a reaction. And then that's how we improve and we get better. And then We can apologize to our husbands and be like, I'm sorry, I'm having a reaction about money and I don't need to be because we're
Yeah.
okay and we're
Yeah.
safe and we can allow ourselves to be safe.
And I talk a lot about with my kids, we always have to look at the past and then look at our present, that we've been safe in the past, even when we thought that we weren't going to. And there are times we haven't been safe, but
Yeah.
overall, in the big scheme of things, we've been provided for because it's gotten us to where we are now.
Yeah.
And we have to trust that it's also going to happen in the future. And now that we have more knowledge, we know different resources available to us that we never saw before. And
Yeah.
so that's the other beautiful part of it, is that the more knowledge we have, the better um, our solutions become as to now what do we do.
Yeah. And I love, love, love this quote. I don't know if it's originally from Kathy Heller, who I love, but it's we grow at the speed of safety. The more that we can calm our nervous system, allow ourselves to be safe, we grow at the speed of safety. That's,
Yeah, I love it. Just writing that down.
I know it's such a good one. But so tell us more about the services you offer now and how you help moms and entrepreneurs and families to feel safe in money situations because we can't live without it. Like we kind of have to be in this world with it.
Yeah, it affects everything. That's the other part of the equation, is our mindset, our ability to handle money, our decision making, our words we use, like it all matters. So in my journey, I really wanted to know everything about what are people currently doing with the 401k and the IRA? What are these different terms of self-directed and Roth, and what does that all mean? And what happens if you're at one company and you move to a next company? Because my original concern was my kids are entrepreneurs. They're very independent. They're highly creative, many of them. And I knew that they wouldn't be working for some company for the rest of their lives. They'd be here, they'd be there, they'd be going over here. And what other options do you have? And the more I learned, the more I recognized, and I started off as a real estate investor. I was buying and flipping homes and renovating them. And so when you talk about you don't know anything, I was barely changing light bulbs in my house when I set off on this journey to understand real estate. But I thought, wow, just we need to create multiple streams of income. That was really weighing on me, because you can have a job today and not a job tomorrow. Technology's changing. Businesses are changing. They're letting people go. They're hiring. There's so much in our lives that is not necessarily dependable. And I thought, wow, if I were going to, and I partnered with different people on this real estate. I thought, do I really want to partner with the government, who's always changing the rules, and they're always the one that comes out ahead? Do I really want to partner with them for my retirement planning down the road and be told I can't retire or touch my money until 59 and a half? And as the more people I talk to, and we've all experienced that not everyone has their health at the time they retire that they had in their earlier years. And then on top of that, with our education, we get better at knowing what questions to ask. So my question became, where can I put my money where it can do more for me than just sit in one place, and I don't have access to it, and then hope that it's going to be there when I'm ready to retire? Could I put it someplace where it could do multiple things for me? And that became the question I was seeking. And when I came across cash value life insurance, I was like, what? What? Like, what? And I said to my mom, I just learned that people can retire using a cash value life insurance policy. And then she said to me, yeah, I know, Carolyn, that's what we use to pay for your brother's education at a private school. And I thought, well, why didn't you share that information with me, 30 years ago when I was finishing high school, and put that on my horizon? And the other part I thought was, would any of us think about going on a road trip without any GPS, without any map? And let's say we were in New York and we needed to end up in California, and we wanted to be in California in a certain number of days, and we just headed off into the wild blue yonder with absolutely no game plan whatsoever. We had no idea which road we should drive on. And that's how most of us have handled our financial road, is just whatever. And then we follow whatever someone else said. So we start with the 401k or the IRA or whatever it is. And so that's just what I educate people on, why cash value life insurance is your number one place to start with planning for the future. Because not only do you have the security of never losing your money in the market, you also have a significant death benefit component that isn't tied to your employer. Oftentimes people have the life insurance that their employer offers them, but this way you have life insurance that's permanent. You can have it the rest of your life, even if your health situation changes. And then you also can know exactly the path you're on to when you want to retire. You know exactly how much money needs to go in there each month, and it's accessible to you. So if something comes up, you don't have a penalty. You don't have to pay taxes if you need to take some of that cash out that you put in there for life's emergencies, or you decide to buy a house or whatever. You have a place to turn to, and it's far better than your savings account at the bank. You get what's called the power of compound interest, meaning that your money will naturally mathematically double every 7 to 10 years because it has a security of never having loss. And the earlier you start, that's why if you're 2 weeks old and you're putting $100 in there and you have it the rest of your life, by the time you're in your 50s, you can retire on a 6-figure income, even if you've never changed the contribution of $100. And that's just everyone looks at that and they're like, oh, I wish I would have started
Yeah.
earlier. But the
Yeah.
good news is that everyone still can start there. Unless you're in your 60s and you can access your 401k, then we have some other strategies. But the point is that you are the most important person in your life, and you deserve to always pay yourself first, not your creditors, not the mortgage company, not your car payment. It's you.
That was like, oh, I want to like give you applause after that. Like, I'm like, if it wouldn't like bust out my mic, I'm like, I want to like holler after that. And that was so good. I felt like that was
Yeah.
just like knowledge dropped after that. Because
Yeah.
so many people need that.
Yeah,
They
just
need that.
right.
And
I was just talking to a 27-year-old the other day, and she's like, oh, because I said, start with 10 times your age. It's $270. She's 27. Maybe this week she's turning 28. But she's like, oh, I just don't know. And I asked her how much she was earning, and I'm thinking, there should be enough in there to find $280 to put the priority of paying yourself. And if you can't find that as a priority, then you really have to work with someone to figure out how to find that money in your current budget, because tomorrow's never going to come and you're suddenly going to have a windfall, and now you can get started, and life's not going to stop throwing curveballs at you that require some financial outlay. So we have to figure it out, and we have to start establishing that we're the most important, and yes, we will stay committed to ourselves and our future selves.
yes. And aren't we always waiting for that future windfall? I feel like that's something we're always kind of banking on. And it's
And it does
that's
happen.
a
In some cases, it does happen, but for the majority of people, it's incremental. A little bit of this here, a little bit of that. I mean, my husband just got a check the other day for a lawsuit that he had, not that we didn't know we were a part of, because it was a previous company that he worked for, and there was a settlement, and he all of a sudden, so there are those. It does happen
yeah,
to
but
people.
then
We've heard those.
how often are we putting paying ourselves from that and not putting
Yeah.
that into all the stuff that we had missed from the period right before that? Like, just wait, it's gonna come, just wait.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, if there was anything I've learned, is no matter what, we pay ourselves first and we put it somewhere secure. That means that you can't lose money on it. Because I thought, okay, so people are putting money in the 401k, and we know that some years it's great, and we love looking at our 401k when the market's doing really well, but then it drops, and it takes time to get back to where we once were. And for each one of those increments of time that it takes, we're losing. We're losing because we've lost that time. Whereas if it's in a secure environment, we don't have to worry about, oh, I need the market to go up to 20% and get that return so I can make up for the loss we had, in whatever year that was. We just know that either we're going to make money or we're going to keep everything we always had. And that's where the power of compounding comes in, that it's just going to naturally mathematically double every 7 to 10 years so that you sleep well. It's easy. You've got the life insurance, you've got your money secured, you have access to it should something happen. You know that you have a place to turn that's not going to be penalized. And there's even more to that part of the story too that's beautiful, but not for today's conversation.
Yeah, this has been so incredible. How can people find you to learn more about this and to work with you and all the things?
So I just go to my website and you can get, and there's a link to sign up for my calendar, but my website is yourwealthyfuture.org. So not .com, it'll pull up something else, but .org. So that's what we're all wanting to build, is a wealthy future, yourwealthyfuture.org.
That is incredible. Are there any social media places or anywhere else you want to send us?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know more about me, you can go just Carolyn Blosil on Facebook, but it doesn't, I haven't started posting yet about my business, and I got to be more bold and post there, but just know.
We'll get you there.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but just you'll learn more about me, my family, my journey on my website, and then you'll be able to get a link to my Calendly and sign up for a time. And I just say, let's have a 15-minute chat and see if we're a good fit for each other. I call it my financial freedom call, and see where you're at and see if I can help you get further along in your financial goals.
This is amazing. And I hope that everyone takes you up on that, because that is like, it's so important. It's so important. And what peace of mind to know that, you're stable, you're secure, that like you have a plan for your life and for your future.
Yes. And we just never know what tomorrow is going to bring. I have a son that was diagnosed with leukemia the day after his wedding at age 22. And he's doing well now. Life's great. They just had a baby, but it was devastating in the moment. And he doesn't qualify for a life insurance retirement plan presently. And I don't know that he ever will, because he has a chronic leukemia that luckily is managed just by taking chemo every day. But we just don't know. And you just don't know the your circumstances. And so I just say, just get that in place, start there. And then you can move on with other investments if you wish. But for me, that is the starting place for everyone.
Yeah, life can always change at the drop of a hat.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. So do you have any final words you want to leave us with? Final words of
Yeah,
wisdom?
I just hope you'll contact me on my website. I'd love to have a conversation with you, and just know that everyone has their starting point, and especially for women, this is one of the most important educations you can take time to invest in for yourself. Um, you just never know what the future has. And again, I liked in real estate, they called it the sleep well at night account. And I'm all about the simplicity of your life with your money, and really having that ability to sleep well and not having anxiety attacks over money and your financial situation, but a peace of mind and also confidence in whatever financial conversation comes up. You feel confident about your contribution to
Mm,
that conversation.
I love it, because knowledge is power.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Yes, thank you, Karaleigh. This has been great, and I love what you're doing as well. And just the name of your podcast, Sunshine, it always just sounds optimistic, upbeat, and that's really what life, the choice we have, because there's a lot that weighs us down, but choosing to be optimistic and smiling and sunshine is really the space we want to live in, even with the heaviness of our circumstances sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Have an amazing day.
You too. Thanks, Karaleigh.
Well, I absolutely need to go book my call with Carolyn. I can't even believe I haven't done it yet because she's so amazing. And I hope that you all go book your interview with Carolyn too, because we all need this information. We need to know how she can help us change our lives, because I am sitting here going, I don't know enough about money. I need to learn more now. I need to go really deep dive in like she has done so that I can have the knowledge that I need to be set for my future. So anyways, favorite takeaway time, number 1. And he said, you are where you are in life because that's the level of what you know. That sentence woke me up to the fact that I'd still be like this 10 years from now because what I knew wasn't enough to change what was happening around me. Are you feeling like that right now? I'm feeling like that right now. Number 2, we can only rise to the level that we believe we are capable of. That's why it's so incredibly important to surround yourself with people who have a greater vision. Number 3, we oftentimes only see one solution. As soon as we see that there could be a second solution, not only do we start considering it, but now this whole world starts opening and we're expanding to options that we never even knew existed before. Number 4, we have to be willing to consider that there is more to learn than we currently know. The first person you talk to may not have all the answers, but they give you part of what you need to know to go to the next level so that you keep increasing your level of understanding, believing that you can learn and that it will become possible for you to understand it. Number 5, we can't hate ourselves into somebody that we love. We need to love all iterations of ourselves. Number 6, we always have to look at the past and then look at our present, that we've been safe in the past, even when we thought we weren't safe. Overall, in the big scheme of things, we've been provided for. We have to trust that it's also going to happen in the future. And number 7, we grow at the speed of safety. The more that we can calm our nervous system and allow ourselves to be safe, the more we grow. Oh my gosh, there were so many quotes that I actually took from this, and it was really hard to narrow them down into just those 7. So you can find more from Carolyn at her website, yourwealthyfuture.org, and make sure that you book that one-on-one call with her and get set to change your whole life. Make sure that you also check out the Magic Mind website and use my code SEEKINGS20 and get yourself some Magic Mind because it's also really great and life-changing. I have my link in the show notes for the Easy Podcasting Basics cheat sheet if you want to learn more about podcasting. And then also if you want to learn more about podcasting, you can check out my other podcast, which is Podcast Like a Mother. And then if you enjoyed those quotes, you can also get this snippet of sunshine, which I turn those quotes into these really cute graphics, and then you can get them in your inbox every day. So if that is something that interests you, the link for that is also in the show notes. So I hope you guys are loving February. February. That's a word. I can say these words. I hope you guys are loving February. I hope that you have like so much joy happening in your life right now. And I'm going to leave you with a song.
When I was young, you told me you'd always be there to hold me. Now I see you're right here with me. My life has been hard, you've seen it, it's not gone the way I planned it, but still here you stand, my safe place to land. I know that it's rare to find a home as good as mine. Steadfast and stable, You taught me I am able, careworn and humble. You catch me when I stumble, patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be. Yeah, you taught me what life is supposed to be. Life has moved on, and I've grown, raised a family of my own. You're never too far from where we are. It's thanks to you that I know just how to serve. Let love show. You taught me the way. I'm thankful each day. I know that it's rare to find a home as good as mine. Steadfast and stable, you taught me I am able, careworn and humble. You catch me when I stumble, patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be. You taught me what life is supposed to be. I don't know what I would have done without you in my life. I don't know what I would have done without you by my side. Steadfast and stable, you taught me I am able, careworn and humble. You catch me when I stumble, patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be.